All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming. We'll get this thing going. There's been a steady stream of people coming in. This is fantastic. We got a really exciting project going on here, and looking forward to getting in front of everybody. So I'm Dave Hastings, project manager with the consulting engineer, hired by the Village. CPL is our company. We've got a team, Ron Rink, Marich, Victor, Dick Waite. We got the members from the Village here and some of the team from Highland Planning helping us administer the meeting tonight. So I kind of want to just jump right into this. We're going to start with a short presentation, just some basic information on the project, what it's going to include, and we're going to wrap up the presentation and just sort of open up the floor. We brought information boards. We have roll plots of the project. We really want to get everybody out soaking up the information. I don't want to stand in front of you for an hour talking about the project. So to kick things off, the Main Street Enhancement Project. Actually, let me skip to this slide. So the agenda, we'll get into the introduction. I'm going to talk about the funding that the Village received for this project. I'm going to describe a bit about the project, what it is, the scope of work, the design components that we're implementing as part of the project, the schedule, where it stands right now, and also the next steps on the project. And then, as I said, we're going to jump right into the open house. If you have questions that you want to ask during the open house, we're going to have members here. You can bounce questions around to anybody that's here. And then if you have comments, we have comment cards. If you have anything that you'd like to convey to the team, we'd ask that you write down the comments just so that we can keep track of everything and address it. So, jumping right in. This project has a long history. It goes back to 2016 when the Village first started planning for the future of Main Street. They kicked off some concept planning, putting together initial plans. What that led to was the opportunity to apply for a TAP grant. So the Village put in a grant application in 2021, and that grant process is every 3 years is a cycle of new grant applications. In 2021, they applied and was awarded the grant in 2022. So the total federal funding that was pumped into this project is $4 million. It does require a 20% local match, so the Village is going to be contributing $1 million to make it a $5 million total project. The project area is on Main Street from Church Street to DeLand Park A, the full limits of what most consider the middle of Main Street. The important thing to understand about this project is what the funding is. So the Transportation Alternatives Program is the federal program where this money is coming from. It's important to understand what the money can be used for and what the money can't be used for. That really dictates what the project is that we're putting in right now. So allowable uses are pedestrian and multimodal infrastructure. So that includes sidewalk construction, new ADA compliant sidewalk ramps, pedestrian signal improvements at the signalized intersections, and we can enhance the signalized crosswalks and the unsignalized crosswalks, the mid-block crosswalks. Streetscape elements that we can implement as part of the project. We can use the funding towards landscaping, all new street lighting, street furniture, trees, and historical markers. Just as important is to understand the prohibited uses of this funding. We can't spend the dollars on these items. So roadway improvements, anything that benefits the vehicular traffic is not what this program is intended for. So we can't do roadway paving and restriping. We can't work on any of the parking lots. We can't do any design components where the pedestrian or bicycle is not the primary beneficiary. Traffic signal improvements where the primary beneficiary is not pedestrians or cyclists, and we can't implement public art unless it serves a benefit to the transportation corridor. So, what does that mean exactly? When looking at a street cross-section from building face to building face, we can focus our efforts and design choices in the areas that are circled in red. So that's from the curb line to the building faces, and that's really primarily what this project is focusing on. The curb to curb pavement in between is going to remain as is, but we can do new sidewalks, landscaping, trees, lighting, benches, bike racks, everything that really builds character in the neighborhood, making it a streetscape. So the scope of improvements that we're looking at for Main Street, this is what we're implementing as part of the project. We're going to be replacing all of the sidewalk within the project limits, reconstructing all of the ramps to be ADA compliant. We're looking at the mid-block crosswalks. We're looking at the location of where they are now, looking to see if shifting them could provide better opportunities, and also keeping an eye towards opportunities for other crosswalks where there aren't any now. We're looking to enhance the pedestrian accommodations at signalized intersections. At Church, there's 3 traffic signals through the corridor: Church Street, the Village Landing, and at High Street. And we're looking at opportunities to get pedestrian traffic signals, compliant push buttons, and the like. As part of the sidewalk replacements, we're going to be replacing driveway aprons through the corridor. We're identifying existing driveway aprons that don't function for the properties anymore. Developments come through, but they're still an apron. We're looking at opportunities to remove those, improve them, and enhance the existing driveway aprons that are out there now. New street signs, looking for opportunities to make customized decorative street signs. Fairport Electric is going to be looking at completely revamping the street lighting through the corridor. So we're going to be doing all new street lighting, landscape improvements, new and more benches, bike racks, trash receptacles. We're going to be looking at planting more trees than are out on the corridor now. And we're also going to be looking to increase on-street parking where feasible. There's limited opportunities to adjust the parking, but where there's driveway aprons that currently restrict parking, if we remove those, there could be an opportunity for more. What the project won't include. As I mentioned, the limitations of the funding, we won't be making any changes to the existing curb line. We won't be changing the functionality of the traffic through the corridor, the number of lanes, the width of the lanes, how the traffic moves through the corridor now is going to remain the same. We're not changing any off-street parking. We're not going to be doing any work on the Canal Lift Bridge, and we're also not going to be doing any work on Lift Bridge Lane. So those are recently completed projects that we're going to be tying into. So some of the project design elements, I'm just going to touch on these real quick. We have more information up here, but we're going to be looking at more benches, bike racks, trash receptacles, new street signage, accent lighting, the new street lighting that's going to be installed along the corridor. We're going to be removing some of the existing trees. We're going to be planting a lot of new trees, and with the new trees, we're looking at installing tree grates through the corridor, something that we don't have on the corridor now. Again, a lot of this information is up here on the board, so after this presentation, I'd encourage you to ask questions and soak up more information. Project schedule. This has been a long progress, or a long project progressing along. Task completed. This is federal funding with New York State oversight. So we have to follow all of the environmental procedures. So the environmental process is done. We've been working through the right-of-way process. There are some corners where we need a little more space to do the ADA compliant sidewalk ramps. So if you're a property owner along the corridor, if this is one of your, if your property is one of them, NYSDOT has already started the contact process, so you should be aware. We've worked through the preliminary design, and we've gotten design approval. The New York State Department of Transportation has authorized us to advance into detailed design. So the next steps that we're moving on from here, stakeholder outreach, we've met with the Merchants Association. We're doing public engagement, starting with this public open house. We're going to be reaching out to property owners along the corridor to find out more information about how your properties are used, and also talking to you about conflicts that we're identifying with the design. Getting into utility coordination, the railroad coordination is going to be a big one. We want to make sure that we address that railroad crossing through the corridor to make it safer for pedestrians. And we're also aware of developments that are being proposed through the corridor, and we're going to make sure next steps are coordinating with them. And then we're going to have continued ongoing coordination with New York State Department of Transportation. One of the interesting things about this project to know is that Main Street, the village owns and maintains Main Street up to from Church Street at the south end and at the north end, approximately the railroad tracks. And then north of the railroad tracks up to the village line is actually owned and maintained by the Department of Transportation. So any design choices that we make has to get approval from the Department of Transportation on the north side of the project, as that is their roadway. Project schedule. So summer of 2024, we're in the public outreach process. From here, we put together the concepts. We're working on identifying materials, preferences for the layouts. And from this meeting, we're going to launch into doing more detailed design on the sidewalk design, hardscape, landscape lighting. As we head into the fall, we're going to be finalizing the design, working through more community outreach. And as we get into the fall, we're going to be establishing the contract documents, finalizing the project, establishing the design, putting it out to bid, and selecting a contractor for the project. And as we head into next year, spring 2025, as soon as the weather breaks, if everything stays on track like it has been, there's going to be shovels in the ground and we'll get to construction in the spring. We expect this will take a single construction season, working through the summer and completing in the fall. So last slide for the presentation. I just want to talk about the information stations that we have up here. We have some project information, which is really a rehash of everything that I just put in this presentation. So if you want to find out more about the funding or anything along those lines, we can provide more of that information. The streetscape design elements we have up here, getting into some of the material choices, working with the existing elements that are on the corridor. We have more information on the existing and proposed trees. The design concepts with the renderings to help visualize the early stages of design, what we're envisioning, and also the construction impacts, as is important information. We have more to take in on that. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this presentation. I encourage everybody to get up, walk around, take in the information. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Lights up a little bit. Thank you. So, hi everyone. My name's Brian White. I'm the village manager here. I can't tell you how exciting it is to see this project come to fruition and start to work down this process. When I was hired here 10 years ago, this was brought up in my interview saying, hey, we really want to do a streetscape project. We've been talking about it forever. We need you to take it to the end. We've been trying and trying and trying. As you can see, our commercial corridor is very, very large, right? I mean, you don't see many streetscape projects that go, what is it, 3/4 of a mile-ish? It's a very, very large area. Thank God we only have a 10 to 12 foot right-of-way in a lot of these spaces. If you were doing something in Canada where there's 25 feet of right-of-way, it's a very big corridor, gets very, very expensive quickly, but we all love this community for what it is. It's gorgeous. You take a beautiful sunny day like today and you leave here tonight, there's people walking all over, having a great time, going out and doing their things that they want to do. You guys should get really excited about this. I mean, this is really a beautification project. Since it's talking about what goes in the ground, because you don't care about it as long as it really works. But it's something really, really nice. Taking something right now, and this is going to be there for the next 40 years. So really looking at, like, when you come up here and you start really, the whole point of this is just to kind of get your juices flowing. There's nothing set in stone. There's no design elements, but think about what your concrete looks like, your street lighting. If you like banners on or propose something like that and put it on a comment card. Think about, different vegetative type things you can put on the corridor and do some plantings or some grasses, whatever that things might look like. If you like Adirondack chairs on the street corner so you can sit and sit on Main Street versus the benches that we currently use now. We talk about those things. Nothing's off the table. We really want to hear from you about what you're thinking about what's going on. We have the opportunity within reason to do some really, really fun things here, some cool things. It is that, basically curb to facade that we're talking about. We're not getting into the street. But it is a fun project to see this right now. I mean, Main Street, it's just, it's been like this for the last 40 years and heave sidewalks and all those types of things, and it served its purpose. But now let's really think about what it could be and what we're going to do. So I encourage you to really come up here, put a smile on your face, and really think about what's going on and what really you've walked through different communities in your life, Lake Placid, other places, you're in Burlington. If there's some that sparked your interest, that was, hey, that's really, really cool element. Now's the time that maybe we can implement something like that. We want to hear about it and not just put concrete back down in the same 5-foot block way that we've always done it. So I don't want to. So you guys get up. We're going to move some of these things around so we can space them out so we're not all crowded around. So give us a second to put the projectors up and stuff like that. We'll move things out. But come up here. There'll be people at every station that can talk to you and guide you through certain concepts and what you're looking at. And make sure that I think we have comment cards. Is that correct, Julie? We'll make sure we have those at every station so you can write down some ideas that you may have, but have some fun with this. Yes, sir. Main Street will not be shut down for this project. Traffic will still flow. They'll start in the spring, probably as soon as the snow gets done, right? You're talking March, April, and it'll go into the fall season, probably October-ish or so. But we're going to mandate that it happens in that one season in the contract, so it's up to the general contractor that's selected to throw as many resources at it as possible to get it done. It's a big project. I don't know if Dave talked about it, but there at some point DOT is working on the Thomas Creek culvert that's right north of the tracks. That needs to get replaced at some point. That was supposed to happen maybe this summer. There was some engineering issues and some bidding issues that made that to get delayed. They are looking at possibly doing that next summer. What does that happen or not? I don't know. But we haven't heard anything different, so maybe it does. If that happens, obviously you can't drive down Main Street if the culvert or the bridge is not there, right? So there'll be a duration of time, probably 4 months or so, that you may or may not be able to drive on it. I don't have an update for you on that at all at this point. But as for this project, the parking on Main Street, that's where the contractor will have their vehicles, their trucks, their equipment. So you can expect not to be able to, in the project zones that they're working at the time, those areas to be occupied with workers and equipment and those types of things. But the street itself will be open for the project. Yep. Yes, hi. Don't know that yet. We'll have to see how the design works out, conversations with the contractor that's going to do it, economies of scale, what works for them, how does it work. We're trying to plan around, our typical festivals that we do, how are those impacted, what can we do. There's a lot of things that have to get worked out through that, but this is the very early stages of that, and we'll as that starts to get ironed out, we'll make sure we communicate that accordingly. It's a great question. Thank you. Yes, sir. Well, they won't be doing it the way you see it this year, right? So it'll still happen, but I'm sure we'll have to work it out. Same that we did when the lift bridge was up for a while. We'll have to use the parking lots and the other accessory areas and make it happen. But I don't see that stopping it. It's just going to look a little different than you normally see it, probably. Good question.
I know this is up to the property owners, but I'm wondering if maybe the village more beautiful is going to make it more expensive for small businesses to rent on Main Street? Seems like it would, right?
I don't know. It might, but I mean, it's better than we're not going to not do it because it's going to affect property values. I mean, it's time. The infrastructure is aged. It's met its life expectancy. So we're going to make some improvements that are necessary. We're not recreating the wheel here. We're not putting Ferris wheels up. We're not doing anything crazy. We're just going to good infrastructure that you can walk on, really enjoy, be proud of when you're walking in your own community and say, hey, this is where I live. That's what it's going to look like and how it's going to feel. That's the intent.
But you very glibly, somebody very glibly said it's going to cost the village $1 million.
That's our share of the project.
Is a lot of money. How is that going to affect the tax structure?
We have it built.
Not only for people who are here,
Yep.
but in like the people, the rents. It's already hard to get people to
We built it in our capital plan. We've been planning for this. It shouldn't have a significant impact on your tax rates and stuff because we've been planning for this in our capital plan and how we're doing it. Other debts falling off. So, we're probably going to be bonding about $1 million for this project. And the other $4 million is graciously coming from the federal government for this grant. It's about a $5 million project.
Is that firm?
Pardon me?
Well, you said you're gonna take bids from contractors, so how firm is
That's what we're estimating to design it around to fit within that confine. If it comes in drastically over, the board will have to really think about how we either bring the project in, make it a little smaller, not so large, but we'll have to look at that as time comes in.
and does that $1 million include the interest on the bond?
No.
So it's gonna be more than with interest.
Yeah, over time, yes, correct. The debt service will have interest, that's correct.
They mentioned the upcoming developments here in Florida, so I'm assuming that the DAP project is one of those, and what other things we should be coordinating with?
I'll be reaching out to the village. Yeah.
We're just making sure, we have ongoing the development across the street in the old bank, right? and how that works and the curb cuts that are associated with things like that. 75 North Main, which is part of the cannery project. There'll be some business or restaurant eventually going in there. We want to make sure that whatever we do there takes that in consideration so we're not ripping it up and redesigning it around a business or a use, how pedestrians or certain vehicles or delivery vehicle trucks get in and out of there. There's only so much you can do. And the moment it's built, something will mess it up and it won't work. It's only as good as the moment you do it. And that's just the truth of it. And then the moment it's built, in 6 months, somebody will come and do a curb cut because there's a lateral that broke or whatever. That's just what happens in every project. You cringe, you look at it, you cry a little bit, and you move on because it happens in every project. Yes, sir.
How's this project going to affect the traffic on the other major arteries in the town and the village?
Well, this, like I said, the traffic flow on Main Street will continue through the project. If there's other projects that inhibit that flow due to a culvert replacement or something like that, there'll be, just like the Lift Bridge project when it was up, there'll be a detour route probably going from High Street to Turk Hill and back to Church to get around the corridor. But this project specifically, traffic flows as normal.
What about like Whitney Road, east and west,
If you deter any traffic, wherever it flows onto is going to have an impact.
then Perrin Street behind the village landing?
Sure. Right now, we're trying not to have that traffic issue, but if there is a thing where we shut any road down and detour it somewhere, there'll be an impact. But it's short term for what we're trying to do here. It's got to get done eventually. We'll try to minimize our impacts to the best that we can, but make no mistake about it. I mean, anytime you have a construction project and you make something an orange cone for 4 or 5 months, there's an impact, right? So don't think that it's not going to be, and that's just being truthful. We'll minimize that to the best of our ability. We'll work with our merchants and so forth to make sure that their downtime, if any, is de minimis. But businesses shouldn't have to close. It may not have concrete in front of their business for them. There may be gravel or other things like that. But outside of pouring concrete directly in front of their business for that day and maybe some noise and dust, they should still be able to operate as normal. Okay?
Ryan, I asked Ryan to put the screens up. How about if we start to get the
Yep.
boards out and people can circulate and ask questions and get a more detailed answer with pictures?
Be great. So again, I encourage you to come up, have some comments. Based on what we hear today, we're going to take this all back, digest it, see where we want to focus on in the future based on your comments. We'll have some other future meetings to come up and kind of start to bring this project in from here to here and bring it into something where we can actually live with. So thank you guys for coming. Get excited, put a smile on your face, and come on up. Thank you.